parents took out a third mortgage to fund my golden child sister's failed business. And Sarah's heart fell as the lawyer's remarks reverberated through the darkened room. His tone was disappointed as he stated, "Your parents took out a third mortgage to fund your sister's failed business." Sarah felt a tornado of betrayal and uncertainty as her mind raced. Sarah sat in her bedroom from childhood, surrounded by memories that seemed sordid today, the weight of which she had just discovered was too much for her to bear. How could this have been done by her parents? How could they have once more put their financial security at danger for Emily, her sister? For their parents, Emily was always the ideal child. She could never do anything wrong. Sarah, however, felt as though she had to battle all the time to get their acceptance. She had put a lot of effort into creating her own life and establishing a lucrative business as a YouTube video maker. But regardless of how much success she achieved, it never seemed to be enough to win her parents' admiration. Sarah was uncertain about her ability to bounce back after learning that they had taken out a third mortgage on their house to support Emily's unsuccessful business endeavor. Though she had always thought that her parents were biased toward Emily, this was the most heartbreaking confirmation of her suspicions. Sarah wondered what had gone wrong with Emily's business as she sat there, struggling with her feelings. She had always been the family dreamer, with big dreams and ambitious plans for the future. However, such hopes frequently appeared to vanish at the first sign of difficulty. Sarah recalled the previous occasion when Emily had asked their parents for financial assistance. It was following the disastrous failure of her first business endeavor, which left her bankrupt. While Sarah was struggling to make ends meet on her own, she had watched as her parents had blindly gone to her sister's aid. But now that a third mortgage had been discovered, Sarah couldn't help but feel resentment building within of her. How could Emily's parents put her goals ahead of their own financial stability? Were they unaware of the harm they were doing to their own prospects? Sarah could not get any sleep as the hours passed. Her entire life was clouded by the weight of her parents' choice, which hung thick in the air. She was aware that their family's relationships would never be the same again as a result of this treachery. But in the middle of her grief and rage, Sarah also felt a little spark of resolve come to life. She wouldn't let her parents' deeds to define who she was or how she would live. Regardless of their acceptance, she would carve out her own route, on her terms, and demonstrate to them and to herself that she deserved their love and respect. And Sarah silently promised herself that she would never again let her sister's golden glow eclipse her own when the first rays of dawn burst through the darkness. She was more than the second option, more than the neglected daughter. Whatever difficulties came in her way, Sarah was prepared to take on the world. Sarah decided to use her job as a way to express her dissatisfaction and displeasure. She devoted her entire being to producing video for her YouTube channel, utilizing her position to connect with people who might be experiencing same difficulties and share her experience. Sarah had an unanticipated sense of empowerment as she talked about her path of self-discovery and perseverance. Her will to achieve on her own terms, independent of her parents' validation or acceptance, was strengthened by the love and encouragement she received from her viewers. But even though Sarah tried to move on, the feeling of betrayal that persisted in her heart persisted. She could not shake the animosity she felt every time she saw her parents. How could they have put the happiness of their own daughter ahead of Emily's dreams? Over time, it appeared that the distance between Sarah and her family continued to grow. While Sarah found it difficult to accept the treachery she had experienced, Emily, unaware of the chaos she had caused, carried on with her life as usual. But Sarah took comfort in the friendships she had made online, even in the middle of the turmoil and heartbreak. Her audience turned into her virtual family, her cheerleaders, and her confidence. When she most needed it, they provided words of support, letting her know that she wasn't the only one going through difficult times. And as Sarah's YouTube channel grew, her confidence in herself also grew. She came to see that she could achieve greatness on her own and that she didn't need her parents' approval to be valued. Sarah felt stronger, more self-assured, and more robust with every video she posted. She had turned her disappointment into resolve and her suffering into strength. And regardless of the challenges that remained in her way, she believed that she was meant for greatness as she looked to the future. With the growing popularity of her channel, Sarah encountered both fresh possibilities and difficulties. Companies made approaches to work together, proposing partnerships and sponsorship arrangements. Sarah was hesitant at first, not sure if she was prepared to take on such significant duties. However, she made the decision to grab hold of the opportunity and welcome the support of her online network. Sarah's confidence increased with every partnership. She gained the respect of her peers and the affection of her fans by demonstrating her abilities as a creative. And as more people watched her channel, Sarah realized she was getting close to realizing her goals. However, under the surface of her newfound prosperity, Sarah was still plagued by a sense of emptiness that refused to go away. The vacuum created by her broken relationship with her family could not be filled by any amount of acclaim or celebrity. She yearned for peace and closure, but she was aware that these things would not happen quickly or at all. Sarah was resolved to get past the hurt of her past. Despite it, she was not going to let her family's treachery to define or limit her. Rather, she directed her energies on creating a future for herself that was real, passionate, and purposeful. Sarah couldn't help but be proud of how far she had come as she reflected on her adventure. She had transformed her suffering into strength and her dejection into resolve. She was stronger because she had carved out her own route and done so on her own terms. Sarah felt she was at the right place as she sat in front of the camera to record another video for her channel. She had discovered her calling, her voice, and her purpose, and she was prepared to meet any challenge head-on, with bravery, tenacity, and unyielding resolve. Sarah's success as a content producer started to draw notice from outside of her online network as she carried on with her job. She got offers to work with major media sites, as well as invitations to speak at events and tell her experience on podcasts. Sarah experienced a revitalized feeling of purpose with every new experience. She came to see that her path involved more than simply establishing a prosperous profession. It also involved utilizing her position to uplift and empower those who might be facing comparable difficulties. Sarah recounted through her films not only the good points of her life, but also the obstacles and disappointments she had encountered. She was honest about the difficult connection she had with her family, the hurt caused by betrayal, and the self-discovery path that had brought her to this point. Additionally, Sarah saw that she was developing stronger bonds with her audience with each sincere confession. Individuals from many backgrounds contacted her, offering their personal narratives of bravery and tenacity. They expressed their gratitude to her for inspiring them and demonstrating to them that it was possible to conquer the most difficult challenges. But even with all of the recognition and appreciation, Sarah never wavered from what was most important to her: her personal sense of honesty and sincerity. She stayed loyal to herself, not compromising her morals or sacrificing her integrity in the name of money or fame. Sarah understood that no matter where her path took her, she would always be loyal to herself as she looked to the future. She discovered that her influence on other people's lives was a better indicator of actual success than celebrity or fortune. Sarah had a wave of thankfulness as she closed yet another video. She was appreciative of the difficulties she had encountered as they had helped to mold her into the person she was today. She also expressed her gratitude to her online network for their steadfast support, which had seen her through good times and bad. Sarah was filled with excitement and knew that the best was still to come. She also knew that she was not alone and that there was an army of people rooting for her, ready to encourage her every step of the way, as she got ready to face whatever obstacles lie ahead. As Sarah's impact grew, she came to understand that she had a special chance to actually change the world. Motivated by her own experience of hardship, she made the decision to start a campaign to increase public awareness of the difficulties experienced by kids with narcissistic parents. Sarah used her personal experiences as a basis for her films, which explored the intricate dynamics of dysfunctional families and brought attention to the emotional abuse and manipulation that frequently occurred behind closed doors. She gave people feeling stuck in unhealthy relationships hope by providing tools and techniques for empowerment and healing. Sarah's campaign received an overwhelmingly positive reaction. People contacted her from all over the world, telling her their tales and thanking her for giving them a voice. Many took comfort in the knowledge that they were not alone in their suffering and that others were striving for change. However, Sarah's conscience continued to eat at her guilt as she threw herself into her advocacy efforts. She worked hard to spread awareness and provide support for others, but she also felt a duty to her own family, from whom she had been too distant for far too long. Sarah took the tough choice to get in touch with her parents and sister because she was determined to face the past and find closure. She was aware that it wouldn't be simple and that there would be difficult discussions and heartbreaking discoveries along the road. However, she was also aware that it was essential if she wanted to make a genuine progress in her life. Sarah inhaled deeply and felt sorrow as she phoned her parents' number and waited for them to answer. She prepared herself for whatever answer waited for her on the other end of the call when the phone rang. No matter how unpleasant the reality might be, she was prepared to confront it. When Sarah's mother eventually picked up the phone after many rings, her tone was tense and reserved. Sarah was having trouble finding the appropriate words to say, and her heart was racing. Muttering, "Mom, it's me," she said hesitantly. "I know it's been a while since we've talked, but there are some things I need to say." Her mother appeared to be processing the unexpected call as there was a prolonged silence on the other end of the telephone. She finally spoke something, a hint of doubt in her voice. "Sarah, how are things going? What is the purpose of this?" Sarah inhaled deeply and rushed forward, letting her words come out quickly. She expressed her hurt and rage, her feeling of betrayal, and her desire for peace. She shared her worst regrets and anxieties, exposing her soul in the hopes of coming close to some sort of insight. Sarah was shocked to see her mother listening quietly, her voice growing softer as Sarah opened out. Sarah's mother spoke when she had finally stopped talking, her words brimming with emotion. "Sarah, I didn't know you felt this way." She broke into an apology. "Despite our shortcomings, we adore you more than anything in this world I know. Would you kindly attempt to resolve this together?" As Sarah heard her mother's remarks, tears fell down her face. She felt a ray of optimism come to life inside her, despite the anguish of the past. Perhaps there was a possibility for reconciliation after all. Sarah started the challenging task of mending her ties with her family in the days that followed. There were a lot of tears shed and challenging talks held along the way because it wasn't easy. However, little by little, they started to mend the scars from the past and create a new route ahead in unison. Sarah was always appreciative of her online community's steadfast support, which had helped her get through her worst moments. She gained the resolve to face her fears and welcome the prospect of a better future with their support and direction. Sarah knew there would be more difficulties when she peered out to the horizon, but she also realized that she had a family, both online and offline, who would support her no matter what, and that she was no longer alone. She was prepared to confront whatever was ahead with bravery, resiliency, and unflinching resolve since she had that understanding in her heart. Sarah's journey was eventually one of resiliency, atonement, and reconciliation. Through the highs and lows, the suffering and the victories, she had come to understand the genuine power of forgiveness, love, and the steadfast support of those who had faith in her. Sarah came to the realization that all of the challenges she had encountered had only strengthened her resolve, compassion, and strength of character. She had transformed her suffering into a calling, her obstacles into resilience, and her injuries into knowledge. Sarah addressed the path ahead with a renewed feeling of hope and optimism, despite the fact that it would undoubtedly be filled with obstacles and uncertainty. She was aware that she would always find her way forward as long as she kept loyal to herself and the principles that steered her. Sarah gravely, resolutely, and unwaveringly started the new chapter of her life with her family on her side, both virtually and in real life. With her head held high and her heart full of optimism, she knew that whatever was ahead, she was prepared to confront it straight on as she peered towards the horizon.